Good morning, potato chips. How you doing, sweet Paddy? Face to face for, I don't do it very often, but this one I really felt like I want to do it face to face because it's probably to discuss something that is my passion at the minute and my two friends who have started this podcast. And we're enjoying doing the podcast and we thoroughly enjoy it. Let me tell you, we have such fun before, during, and after. But I want this podcast to be more yours. I want you to take ownership of this podcast. I don't want this to be like every other podcast where we just dictate what's going to happen. So, not every other podcast. I didn't mean that in a sarcastic way, but we want this podcast to be a number of things. We want it for your way, especially if you're just around or you've been around for years. We need topics that you want us to discuss. Now, you might agree or disagree, but what we want is that interaction. We want you to comment if you agree or disagree, and just keep it nice. Keep it friendly. If you don't agree, that's fine. These are just our opinions as knife collectors. We're no special people. We're just knife collectors who are doing a podcast for other people who are like-minded, who like having a chat about knives. Maybe you don't live next to somebody like I didn't for years. I didn't live anywhere near anybody that I knew was into knives. But since I've started my YouTube channel, I've met people, and two of them are on the podcast, which I like. And Justin is just a buyer, and we're really lucky to have Dan, who's a seller. Now, he's into not mostly, but multi-tools and sack knives, but he also does a wide range of things. But that would be his main two things. So he's a font of information. If you want to know about selling, how to go about it, where to go, me and Justin are buyers, so we can put you in the right direction if you want to buy certain knives in the UK, especially. We can't help in America as such, but we can in the UK. And this podcast's open to everybody around the world. In fact, the more the better around the world. Your ideas, your suggestions of what we can do to make it interesting for you so that you'll interact with us in the comments. And that is the thing. But there's a few other things. I've got a wee list here. You know I don't do lists, but I've got them down here because I don't want to miss them. I'm going to be looking in the next couple of months, in the next month or two, for reviewers on my... I'll just get my carry out for today. This is my carry today, but I'm quite happy if I've got a reviewer. If you've got if you've got a YouTube channel that you comment on, that's fine. But you need to be a sub to the channel, and I'm going to send out occasionally a knife like this, or like a Pena or a GEC knife, and I want that person to do a 10-minute review. And if he can on camera and send us the video, but if he can't, come on the podcast for 10 minutes and give us your review. Let us question you about the knife you've reviewed. So that's the sort of thing I want to do. Just things that are a little bit different, and it's a wide variety of knives. But a lot of the time, I'm going to send out this one in particular. I'm going to send this about to people to do reviews, just to see. Maybe you'll never be able to afford one of these, but you want to see what it's like in hand. We don't get the chance over here to see what it's like in hand. And your friends will take your word rather than just my word. So there's one that I'm going to send out. That's the first one I'm going to send out to a reviewer. But I want to pick the right person. I want to pick somebody who's joining in and commenting down below in the podcast. That's what I'm looking for. So if you'd like to be chosen to review one of our knives and do a 10-minute video and send it in, or come on the podcast, even just for 10 minutes, that's the sort of thing we're looking to do. Something just that little bit different. But we need questions. We need ideas for podcasts. Not that we haven't got them. We have plenty. But I want your ideas to be the ones that we follow along with. And we can do it. But if you ask a question that needs a bit of research, we can do it. And then we'll do it on the podcast. It mightn't come the next week or 2 weeks, but it will come. We'll answer all your questions. And at the end of each night, we want to have a question of the night from the previous podcast that somebody asks. So if you don't interact, we can't get that up and running. So I'm probably just beating a dead horse here, but we'll see. I said buying, questions we need, topics, any topic you would like to discuss, whether it be blade steels, anything. We're not experts. You'll only get our opinions or what we can find out about certain blade steels. But the biggest thing, I suppose, is the discussions, things that you want to discuss. And it can be a wide variety. And what we tend to do as just people, the three of us, when we get on the phone together, we do three-way phone calls. We start on something and it can go anywhere. But we need that discussion that you want to talk about. So please put them down below, get interactive with this podcast and just help us get it off the ground. And you will actually decide what way it goes. And that's the nice part. It's not going to be us. And the other thing, I don't know what's happening at the minute, but YouTube does not like Paddy's Potato Peelers for whatever reason. For every 5 subs I'm getting at the minute, I'm getting 3 or 4 taken off. They just disappear. I don't understand how that works. I'm not even going to find out because I do this for the love of it. But it would be nice if you would subscribe, like, and the important thing for the podcast is if you would share. Now, you know I very rarely ask for these things, but for the podcast, this is such a passion for us. If you would like, subscribe and share. And if you subscribe, if you're in the UK and you maybe don't know, subscribing to a channel doesn't cost anything. There's no cost to this podcast whatsoever. And to subscribe to any YouTube channel, no matter who they are, it doesn't cost anything, but it really helps the channel. And the one thing you need to do is interact. I want more interaction down below in the comments. So I hope this has made sense. I hope it's something that you can get on board with. I have the enthusiasm. I know Justin does, and I know Dan does on the other side of me. We just have so much enthusiasm for it. And we'll do it no matter what because we're enjoying it. But I really want this to be your show. And the only way it can be is if you comment, join in some of the topics, you know, and whatever, even if you're talking about the week before, we'll go back and answer that question to clear it up. We can even have a little 5-minute slot at the beginning where we clear up last week's questions or people didn't understand, whatever. So it's all going to be done for you and us. So there you go. Paddy's done. I don't normally do promotional videos, but it really does matter at the minute. The like, sub and subscribe, and sharing a podcast is very important. It's not so much for me on the videos. I'm going to do them. But for this project, and I've got 2 people with me, sharing the podcast and getting it out there to different people would just please me no end. And I just want to thank everybody who has joined in on it. We've had a great start. We're enjoying the fact that we get last week 300 odd subs. Before I put this up, with 300 odd visits to the podcast last week, which is just fantastic for us. Fantastic. We didn't set out with any goals, and that's the one thing that me and the boys talked about. They're not goals. This podcast will go on. Just, I want it to go on faster with your involvement. I'm repeating myself, aren't I? That's all, Paddy. Right. Cup of tea time. And I'll see you at the next podcast. Take care. Paddy's away. Bye-bye.